thanks very much for having me here. It's really good to have sort of industry and the educational sector come together. I'm not used to speaking coming from industry. It's normally smaller groups, so just bear with me if I get a little bit nervous.
We got you covered.
Right, cool. So as it says, Paul from Motion Design. I don't have a lot of experience, or I'm not a guru in Industry 4. I studied over 10 years ago. Industry 4 was not really a big thing. So I'm coming from it as experience-based. I've been involved in a lot of machines over the world and implementing this Industry 4 stuff, even before it was termed Industry 4. So some of our systems were sort of pre-2000 and doing this Industry 4 connectivity stuff. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm going to do a bit of it. This is just a slogan what Motion Design does. I've got 4 things I want to cover tonight, and I'm going to ask you guys to let me know what you're most interested in. So one is what what we at Motion Design understand Industry 4 to be, and what our customers want from that. The second is the approach that we take with our customers to transform their businesses to Industry 4. The third thing is I want to cover some real-life case studies, so some examples of Industry 4 that we've implemented with our customers and how it's benefited them. The fourth thing is some of you might have seen the chocolate demo we had at Food Tech Pack Tech. It's showcasing Industry 4 on top of Industry 3 layer, and so I got a chance to be able to give you some insight into that. So first up, I want to get a bit of a show of hands of how many people are from industry here tonight. So, well, that's good, there's a few of you. And then I guess the rest of you guys are from sort of educational sort of sectors. That's cool. So what are you guys more interested in? So out of those 4, let's go show of hands if you're interested in all 4. A few of you? Okay, most of you. Okay, so we'll cover all 4 rather than try and split into some of the things. It makes it a little bit easier for me as well for all the slides.
3142.
3142, we can do it backwards if you like. So I didn't steal this from Callaghan, but I saw that they did the same research that I did, so that's really good. It's just sort of showing that path. So what we understand Industry 4 to be, and what I understand Industry 4 to be, is we can sort of basically break it down to one word, and that's connectivity. And so we're talking about data, we're talking about analytics, we're talking about this. It's that connectivity. And so when we look at it, it's connecting the cyber world and the physical world. So that cyber physical, in practical terms, it's your IT department and your OT department. So it's what's happening in your ERP, what's happening in your ordering system, and then what's happening on the factory floor. So it's the office and the factory, it's the machine and the worker. It's this connectivity where the data flows around and back, and as often that's just saying it's the data making changes on the physical stuff. And so whether that's automated or whether that's through people making those decisions on improving things, but it's got to have that continuous loop of improvement. It's more than just digitalization of data. It is taking that data and making change. So in a quote term, it's real-time delivery of useful data to adjust physical systems. So the approach that, and on the other side of things, so that's the connectivity side, the cyber physical. There's the physical side of things as well, which Olive has talked about, the additive manufacturing. It's making a huge gains, making big changes for the industry in manufacturing. On top of that is the robotics and automation, which is more my background. And so we're seeing big changes in collaborative robots, in vision, and different technologies there that they have been around for a long time, but they've been very expensive and not very accessible. Whereas nowadays, it's becoming more of a thing. I mean, put your hand up if you haven't heard about cobots. I mean, it's out there. A couple of people, but it's big. It's out there, and so it's changing. And everyone we talk to, they're like, "Oh, we want one." And you're like, "Well, is it best for you? Maybe not." But people want one. It's interesting, and it's affordable. It's becoming a lot more affordable.
Forgive me. Cobot to me is programming. What are you talking about?
Cobot. So taking a robot, making it collaborative so it can work around humans safely.
Oh, dang.
Yep. Cool. So the approach that we take. So this is a slogan that we sort of think we sort of follow. Think big, start small, scale fast. And so we want people to think long term. So not just the immediate, it's okay, plan what you want to be as a company or a business in 5 to years time, and work your way towards it, and start small. So the big thing is trying to find that value, but it's designing for meeting your end goal. So a lot of our customers will say, look, I want to go paperless, and you can't do that overnight. There's a series of steps, like we're saying that Kaizen, take small steps to improve, and so, but you need to know where you're heading. You can't just go, oh, let's just do this and do this and see if that improves things. It's where's my end goal, and work my way towards it. So we follow a little acronym called ACTIVE, which we've sort of termed. So A is assess. So that's that first thing of going, what is the big picture? Where are you going? Where's your value adding? And how do I get there? The second thing, concept. So ideas. Start thinking of ideas on how to get there or how to fix some of the problems that you're facing. The third thing is trial. T. Start small. Prototype. Find value. Don't jump out and go, right, okay, we're going to do this massive system up front. Just start small and see if it works, and then add value, and do this scale fast. Okay. Fourth thing, implement. Build it. Do it. Get it done. Fifth thing, verify. Does it work? So when you're built this machine or built this bit of software kit, does it do what you're asking it to do? If it does, cool. But the last thing is to evaluate. And so you might have designed a machine to do something, or you may have done some software and it's producing something, but it might not be best for business. It might be not be the best thing for that end goal, and so you need to reevaluate things. And another thing to be thinking about is, especially that startup step, is your technology platform. Because you're going to plan for this end goal out here, and you're going to grow and you're going to develop, don't start with systems that are going to limit you from going forward. And so, unfortunately, that can come with a bit of a cost, and so that can be a bit of an inhibitor for some people. But there's the new cloud, rather than having servers and databases and things on site, which allows you to kickstart really quickly. And so, just think about how you want to start, how you want to move forward, and that end goal. There's other things to think about. Database versus Excel spreadsheets. Might have heard about the latest Excel debacle with the UK COVID cases. It's a big problem. Oh no, there's only 65,000 lines, and so anything over that, they got culled. And so you need to think about these things when you're developing. You need to think about your hardware as well. IoT, PLC, PC, which is going to be best for gathering that data, analysing it, and then feeding it back through your system. Most traditional systems in New Zealand run off PLCs. A lot of those don't have network capability. And so how are you going to feed that information back in to make your machines or things change, and the physical? Let's jump into some case studies. The time's not going, so I don't know how I'm doing, but we'll just carry on. That's all good, we'll be here all night. So I've got two case studies for you. They are quite different. One's definitely in manufacturing, one's more sort of away from manufacturing, but along the same sort of lines. So this one is a dairy industry. It is here in New Zealand. They had this goal maybe 10 years ago. They want to go paperless. They had a lot of paperwork flying around, and things got lost and missed and torn and things. They said, I want to go paperless. They want to increase their throughput. They're currently doing about 60,000 samples a day. It's a fair number, and they wanted visibility. They wanted to be able to see what was happening. With that much stuff going through their plant, through their lab, they want to be able to trace it. They want to be able to see where it goes and find out how the machine's going, how their people are going, and so those were their goals. We developed our first system for them in the year 2000, and that essentially was Industry 4. So it received data from their database, the machine altered itself or did certain things based on that data, and then it reported back to the database on what it did and how it went and where things are, etc. And so that was one of our first implementations of Industry 4 before it was really coined Industry 4. From then we added a lot of more machines. We added automated digitalization, so gathering the data from all of those machines. We automated machine configuration, so depending on what what things are coming through those machines, they adjusted to suit those samples. We've got techs going to technicians when machines go down. It locks machines out so operators can't run them. There are live dashboards on TV screens all around the place, so people can see how they're tracking and they can make adjustments. And all that is making a huge change for them. They're able to get all that visibility and make changes live. So the things on the screens showing all that live data, it is live, it's instant. And so they can make changes like that. So what we've recently implemented is we're gathering all this data, we're analysing it, you know, some of the machines are doing things. They wanted more visibility as to you know, reporting on. So they can gather that data, they can do their own reports, which probably most of you do through Excel or something else. So we automated that process. So automated the analysing of data, automated the generation of reports, so they could drill down and then they could use that to improve things. So the big one was they estimated about 15% downtime on their machines and their staff. And they didn't really know why, because the operators would tell them something and it wasn't really, you know, very good to what they said. And so they said, right, well, we actually want to analyse it. So we did that. We did the reports, we did the KPIs, and now they can drill down. And so that managed to, the benefits was that they reduced that down. I can't remember what the percentage is now, but it's you know, single digits. But the big thing was they went from 3 shifts down to 2. So drastic change. You know, it's a third savings in your labour costs and your running costs, etc. From the improvements that they were making, and that includes sort of servicing and things as well. So what they learned was by slowing down and sort of taking note, the machines were able to last longer and be more productive, rather than pushing them very hard. And so, you know, that really helped them. And there was less demand and less frustration for operators. They didn't have to, you know, meet certain quota or things. They had visibility to see. And surprisingly, they like the KPI data on the screens. They go asking their bosses for the report to see how they did. So there's this whole talk of, oh, Big Brother's watching. But in their situation, Big Brother is coming alongside them and helping them. So they can identify, oh, look, Joe Bloggs, who's new on the machines, they need some help because for the last, you know, day or two, they've taken 5 minutes to work on fixing a particular problem. So let's give them some training. And they like that. The second case study I want to quickly go through, it's a steel company in Australia. And they had similar goals. They wanted to go paperless. They wanted to reduce downtime. They had that traceability, reduce rework, which I'm guessing a lot of you sort of in industry might see as well. They wanted that visibility as well as one of their goals. They have 23 sites. So they've got 23 sites, over 200 machines. All of those machines were different types, different manufacturers. So the first thing they did was say, look, we need to standardise the control system. So we helped them basically write a new system for it goes on every machine, standardise how they operate. Then on top of that, we started adding in a custom MES, which integrated with the ERP systems and their machines. So orders could come straight from the ERP system through into the machines, and the machines can pretty much make your products themselves. It was very limited, very little sort of human interaction, and because the machines are the same, you could just send your operators to any machine to run it. So it made it a lot more efficient. We also did, so recent work we did for them is identifying rework that they had to do. So they knew there was a huge amount of rework that they were doing, and at some sites it was like 10 grand a month of rework, and they suspected it was because customers were essentially ripping them off and going, oh look, it's arrived damaged, you need to make me some new ones. But they couldn't conclusively say it was that. And so we did, looking at our data and things, we were able to work out where it was going. We managed to work out that, yeah, a lot of portion of the rework is due to transportation costs and site damage, which they can't control. So we helped with them to develop an app to essentially pull up all the data we had already on each job, and you could photograph at various stages of the process. So when things were getting loaded up into the truck, you could take a photograph, you could scan it, and instantly that data was available to everyone. And so the benefits meant that the customers knew exactly where the product was at all times. They they reduced their rework at many sites by over 50%, which, in that one site alone, that's $5,000 a month saving. They had buy-in because we developed the system with the end users, so the people on the floor that were going to be using the app. They helped to develop it. They were could confidently respond to claims of missed parts or damaged parts because they had a record and they had traceability. Some side benefits were that the customer relations actually got better. They expected it to sort of get worse because you don't want to sort of have people turn up and be like, my thing's missing, and all of a sudden you go like, oh well, no, it's not, because we can prove that it's not. It improved those relationships. They got live updates. They got an engaged workforce. As we know, the younger generation like to be on their phone a lot, so this was a good excuse for them to be on it. And traceability. So they could trace products right back to the raw product, right back to the coil or the steel that they were putting into their products. So it fulfilled that life cycle. So there's the app. Just quickly, some of you might have seen this. This is the chocolate demo that I was on Food Tech, Pack Tech. So this sort of showcases Industry 2 or Industry 3 with an Industry 4 layer on top. So it's taking New Zealand businesses, it's sort of typical. So sort of seeing here, on the left there, we've got a PLC. It's controlling some reading information from sensors, controlling some motors, some actuators. There is a person doing some manual task in it because it was too hard to try and automate that. And we've said, okay, well, let's just show some of the things we could add as Industry 4. And so we've got a vision system there to replace the human to detect chocolate colours. We've potentially had to upgrade the PLC to have network capability. That is talking with our insights server, so that's gathering the data, showing you OEE, showing you throughput, showing you data on the machine, on the orders. Then it can also connect up with the ERP or the MES, and we've got a sequencer. So you can schedule work. So as orders come in, you can schedule to which machine it needs to go on, you can prioritize, and you can get ETAs as well because you know how fast things are going from your insights. You can feed that back through the system and then make adjustments to, when someone asks how long is it going to take, you'll confidently know based on the throughput through our machines and the data we have, it's going to take this long. And so that system is connected up to the ordering, so online ordering, so customers anywhere can create an order and it can go through the system, get prioritized, etc. We also added a barcode scanner, so we're able to track and trace everything within the system, where it was going, which things were going into which box, and also we had a printer there so that once the product came out, we printed a label onto it so then that could be scanned and followed and tracked wherever it needed to go. So it's just sort of showcasing, this is not a product or anything, but it's just showing how you can take your Industry 2, Industry 3 business and you can add a layer of Industry 4 while maintaining or keeping your production line. And so, nice. That's just, we're realizing more and more as we sort of meet people that their businesses are Industry 2 and 3, and they're asking for automation to stay within that. And we're trying to encourage them to come to this and gather that data and feed it back through, create that loop, create that connectivity so that you are making decisions based on the data. I think I had a minute left, so.
Cool. Awesome.